You lie awake, just an arm's length away from the oldest person in your tribe, while restless children sleep right at your feet. There are no doors to lock, no walls to hide behind, and 3 pairs of eyes are staring directly at you from the pitch-black dark. For 99% of human history, the concept of a private room simply did not exist. Your ancestors lived every single moment. Modern humans lose their minds if someone just glances at their text messages. You demand passwords, closed doors, and absolute personal space. But how did your ancient ancestors handle physical intimacy, deep secrets, and basic bodily functions? To understand this, you need to strip away everything you know about boundaries. Picture a Paleolithic camp. You are trapped in a social pressure cooker. Anthropologist Richard Lee observed modern hunter-gatherers like the Jusherhuansi, who live in conditions identical to your. Imagine packing 50 people into a space smaller than a modern basketball court. Huts are built so close that you hear every whisper and breath. The walls of your shelter are made of thin animal hides. They stop the cold wind, but they do absolutely nothing to stop sound. Your brain never gets to truly turn off. You cannot escape the watchful eyes of the village elder or the constant demands of the children. Yet, despite this suffocating legal boundaries, which leads to the most awkward question about prehistory. When everyone sleeps shoulder to shoulder around the same fire, how does intimacy actually happen?
Sigh.
If you brought a modern person back to your camp, the complete lack of physical modesty would send them into a state of absolute shock. But your ancestors were not shameless animals. Because they could not build physical walls of stone or wood, they had to invent something far stronger. And to resolve the biological need for intimacy in the dark, they relied on a silent, unbreakable rule of the night. This is the prehistoric rule of polite blindness. When you cannot build a wooden door, you must build a door inside your own mind. You might think they just walked out into the woods, but stepping outside the fire's light meant becoming a midnight snack for a cave lion. Intimacy had to happen right there, in the middle of the crowded camp, usually in the dead of night when the fire burned down to embers. As a member of the tribe, your job is simple. You lie perfectly still, stare at the stars, and pretend you are in a deep coma. If you open your eyes or complain about the rustling noises, you are not just being rude, you are violating a sacred social contract. Your modern friend would probably sit up, turn on a smartphone flashlight, and angrily demand total silence so they can get their precious beauty sleep. In a hunter-gatherer camp, doing that would make you an instant outcast. And being an outcast in the Paleolithic era is a guaranteed death sentence. Anthropologist Richard Lee observed this exact behavior in modern Jusherhuansi tribes. They master the absolute art of, they call it fictional distance. When you have absolutely zero physical space, you use collective psychological denial to grant your neighbor. But what about the youngest members of the group? Children sleep right in the middle of this tangled web of human bodies every single night. From the moment they can walk, children learn that the night has its own rules. They quickly adapt to sleeping through the unavoidable camp noises. Then comes the morning. The sun rises, the tribe wakes up, and everyone gathers around the fire to share breakfast, as if nothing ever happened. This extreme politeness is not about modern manners. It is a strict survival mechanism designed to prevent the deadliest emotion. In a confined group of 50 people, jealousy and romantic drama are not just annoying, they are explosive forces that can tear the entire tribe apart. But managing jealousy was only half the battle. What happens when it is 3 in the morning and your bladder is completely full? You cannot just build a private bathroom, and you definitely cannot relieve yourself inside the camp, where 50 people are sleeping shoulder to shoulder. Your modern friend would probably panic, desperately searching for a clean toilet with a lockable door. But out here, doors do not exist. Stepping just 20 feet away from the campfire means entering total darkness. And the darkness is currently filled with massive, hungry cave lions. You face a terrifying dilemma. Do you hold it in until sunrise, or do you risk becoming a midnight snack for an apex predator? To survive, your ancestors created a very specific buffer zone. You walk exactly to the edge where the firelight meets the terrifying dark shadows. Anthropologists note that ancient hunter-gatherers maintained strict hygiene boundaries. Relieving yourself too close to the camp, they established an invisible ring around the living space. You had to go far enough to prevent disease, but close enough to scream.
During the day, bathroom breaks were almost never private.
When you left the camp to relieve yourself, you never went completely alone. Going to the bathroom was a group activity. You walked with 2 or 3 others, casually chatting while keeping a lookout for predators. The idea of making eye contact while squatting in the bushes would deeply traumatize your modern friend. But for you, it is pure survival. When you are squatting in the wild, you are in the most physically vulnerable position possible. You cannot sprint, and you cannot fight. This is why modern humans still feel a strange primal anxiety in public restrooms with wide gaps in the doors. And you could not just leave your waste out in the open. Predators possess incredible senses of smell and could track you instantly. You carefully sneak back to your sleeping mat. But someone is watching, and tomorrow the entire tribe will absolutely hear all about your strange behavior. They're saying what you did last night.
Everyone knows.
It's spreading fast. Without a single written word or digital text message, the information travels faster than a modern internet rumor. You are being heavily judged. Why do they care so much? Because in a prehistoric hunter-gatherer tribe, your personal business is literally everyone's business. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar discovered that human brains evolved specifically to maintain stable social relationships with a This is known as Dunbar's number. But keeping 150 hungry, stressed, and heavily armed humans from killing each other is incredibly difficult. Your ancient camp has no police force, no written laws, and no jails. So how do they maintain absolute order without destroying the group? They rely on the most powerful and ruthless social weapon ever invented. They use gossip.
It was the very first social media.
While other primates spend hours picking bugs out of each other's fur to bond, humans use language.
We use gossip as a form of social grooming.
We must share the food equally.
But he's lazy. He doesn't hunt.
Yes, and she acts strange. We need rules. If you try to secretly hide a piece of sweet fruit for yourself, the children will see it.
They will immediately tell the village elders.
The elder will not hit you or lock you up. Instead, they will simply point and laugh at you in front of the entire group. Modern humans feel intense anxiety about being canceled on the internet. But prehistoric cancellation meant being kicked out of the only safe place on Earth. If the gossip turns against you entirely, the tribe might abandon you. And being completely alone in the Pleistocene era is a guaranteed death sentence. This is exactly why your modern brain still desperately cares about what strangers think of you. For your ancestors, but what happens when you actually do something amazing? What if you hunt down the biggest animal and return to the camp as a hero? You drop the massive wild boar at the center of the camp. You puff out your chest, eagerly waiting for everyone to praise your incredible hunting skills. But the village elder walks up, kicks the dead animal, and spits on the ground. They look at your catch with absolute, pure disgust. What? Just skin and bones? It smells absolutely terrible. Soon, the rest of the tribe joins in. They laugh at your tiny catch and mock you for being such a weak, terrible hunter. Your modern friend would be absolutely furious. They would demand respect and probably refuse to share the food with such ungrateful, toxic people. Anthropologist Richard Lee documented this exact strange behavior while living with the Jusowansi hunter-gatherers. The golden crown represents human arrogance. Watch as the massive hammer shatters it into tiny pieces, symbolizing the destruction of the ego. When you bring back a massive amount of calories, your brain naturally feels superior. You start feeling powerful, important, and better than the others. In a modern office, being arrogant might just get you fired. But in a prehistoric tribe, an arrogant hunter might try to become a dictator. Hunter-gatherer societies are fiercely egalitarian. They have absolutely no chiefs, no kings, and no formal leaders. By aggressively mocking your success, the elder is forcibly cooling your heart. They are crushing your ego before it can grow into a dangerous weapon. Despite all the heavy insults, they will still butcher the meat and carefully distribute equal portions to every single member of the camp. Your job is to accept the mockery with total humility. You must agree that the meat is terrible, proving that you are not a threat. This intense policing of egos forces the tribe to stay completely unified. It creates a powerful social bond that ensures everyone survives together. Gossip and insults are their social weapons. But what happens when you just want a moment of peace and cannot physically walk away? Sometimes the social pressure of living in such close proximity becomes completely unbearable. You desperately need a moment of absolute silence. But you cannot just walk away to your own private bedroom or close a wooden door. Because in your world, doors simply do not exist. Anthropologist James Sussman, studying modern hunter-gatherer societies, discovered a brilliant psychological survival trick that your ancestors mastered. When you want to be completely alone, you simply sit right in the middle of the camp, close your eyes, and enter total silence. Even though you are sitting just 2 feet away from your peers, a remarkable unwritten social rule treats you as if you have completely vanished. This is the ultimate psychological wall. When physical architecture is impossible, human culture, your modern friend relies on slamming heavy wooden doors or wearing large noise-canceling headphones to block out the overwhelming world. But your ancestors achieved true peace of mind without spending a single dollar on gadgets. They mastered the power of collective mindfulness. This ancient mechanism shows us a deep truth about human nature. We were never built to live completely isolated behind heavy walls. Modern architecture gives us total physical privacy, yet we suffer from unprecedented levels of loneliness and mental exhaustion. Every time you scroll through social media late at night in your dark room, your ancient brain is desperately searching for the warmth of the tribe. This is the ultimate evolutionary mismatch. Your body carries the instincts of a Stone Age hunter trapped inside a modern concrete box. So next time you feel overwhelmed by the suffocating noise of modern life, remember your ancestors who mastered the art of sharing every single second. They found freedom not behind locked doors, but inside the unbreakable warmth of the tribe. You lie down in the dark behind heavy locked doors, wrapped in absolute privacy, while no one is watching you at all.